good afternoon, evening, or morning, ma'am. Today I would be talking about what I learned in the subject philosophy. First, what is philosophy? Philosophy came from the Greek words philo and sophia. Philo, which means love, and sophia, which means wisdom. Therefore, philosophy is the love for wisdom. What are the salient features of philosophy? Philosophy has four salient features, such as it is a science, it is the natural light of reason, it is the study of all things, and it has the first cause or highest principle. So let's first go to the first cause or highest principle, which is subdivided into four principles known as the principle of identity, principle of non-contradiction, principle of excluded middle, principle of sufficient reason. Start natin sa principle of identity. Principle of identity says that it is what it is. Therefore, kunyari, isang pusa. Ang pusa ay isang animal. Therefore, it is it is distinguished not to be a human because it is an animal. Hindi siya tao. Hayop siya. Principle of non-contradiction. This means that some things cannot exist and not exist at the same time. Meaning, sinasabi niya na hindi siya pwedeng mag-exist and not exist at the same time kasi nga nagko-contradict ang concept of existence. For example, isang kahon, it's either mag-exist nga siya or hindi. Otherwise, ma-violate yung principle of non-contradiction. Next is principle of excluded middle. Ito naman is either be or not be. Here in principle of excluded middle, kunyari lang naman is ang anak niya ay lalaki or babae. Kunyari, di niyo po alam. It's either ang anak niya nga po ba ay lalaki from birth or babae from birth. Meanwhile, dito sa principle of non-contradiction, yung pinagkaiba nilang dalawa, sa principle of non-contradiction, hindi pwedeng magsabay ang existence and not existence. Meanwhile, sa principle of excluded middle is it has either be or not be. Tulad ng kanina, it could be either a boy or not be a boy. Ganun po. Next is principle of sufficient reason. So principle of sufficient reason is we have the sufficient amount of evidence or proof na mapapatunayan nga po ang evidence or ang na-acquire knowledge is true or hindi. What are the branches of philosophy? We have five branches in my slideshow presentation, namely as metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, logic, and aesthetic. So metaphysics is the one that deals with general and abstract questions about the universe as a whole. Meanwhile, epistemology is about the nature of knowledge. Ethics means what is good and what is bad. Logic means correct reasoning. And aesthetic means what therefore is beautiful. In other words, metaphysics is about the universe as a whole. Epistemology, nature of knowledge. Ethics means what is good and what is bad. Logic, correct reasoning. As thought, aesthetic means the beauty. Two types of point of view, holistic and partial point of view. Holistic is having a concept or idea as a whole. Meanwhile, in partial, we are talking about one specific part or not the generalization of a concept or idea. Hindi siya buo or we have limited access to this data or information. Holistic buo, partial, parte lang siya. Next, philosophical tools and processes, stages of questions and methods of philosophical questions. So here we should start at the stages of questions. So stages of questions, we have three parts, which is simple, serious, and deep. Simple, serious, and deep questions. Okay, so let's start with simple. Simple means out of curiosity or wonder about the world. So serious about our experiences, mga napagdadaanan natin. Meanwhile, ang deep, it means finding a meaning or purpose in life. Ulitin ko po, simple is about curiosity and wonder. Serious is about the experiences we had. And deep is about self-reflection or having meaningful or purpose in life. Dito naman po tayo sa methods of philosophical questions. We have methods of philosophical questions, namely as dialectic and Socratic method. Sa dialectic method, dito dinidiscuss natin is about two people discussing on opposing sides, meaning they are contradicting each other o magkakaiba sila ng sides. Meanwhile, sa Socratic, we have a cooperative argumentative. Kung sa dialectic, they are opposing each other. Dito sa Socratic, they need to cooperate as one. They would be sharing ideas, concepts, and other data about a certain topic or concept. We have logical reasoning. In logical reasoning, it is about the correct reasoning or describing interpretation of these evidences and proof. We have inductive and deductive reasoning. So in the inductive is about from a specific idea to a general conclusion. Meaning, maliit lang tayo nung simula, tapos lumaki ang ating pagkakaintindi. Meanwhile, dito sa deductive, we have a general conclusion, tapos hinati po natin siya or binawasan natin siya into one specific idea. Or in other words, pinaliit natin siya ng pinaliit into a certain topic. Kumbaga, nilimit na lang natin kung anong nilalaman ng ating reasoning. Inductive is from specific to general, and deductive is from general to specific. Moral teleology and stop. So, the meaning of stop is S, search for the facts. T, think, reflect, and analyze the facts. O, others, always consider others. P is pray. Next would be empiricism and rationalism. So in empiricism and rationalism, they have the common characteristics as such as acquiring knowledge, but the way they acquire knowledge is different. For example, empiricism is about acquiring knowledge through the use of our senses. Meanwhile, rationalism is about acquiring knowledge through the use of our minds. Then again, empiricism is about acquiring knowledge through our senses, and rationalism is through our minds. Processes of acquiring knowledge. First, reality, perception, concept, proposition, inference, and argument. So reality, something must exist in order for us to acquire knowledge. Kasi kung hindi nag-exist, saan tayo kukuha ng kaalaman? Sa perception, we should also have the senses. Our senses in the topic, kumbaga, we have our sight, our scent, our taste, our smell, our touch about the topic. Kasi it could help us gather more information about the certain thing, concept, or idea. Next is concept. Concept is about the generalization of something. Kabuuan na po. Meaning, if we are acquiring from a specific knowledge, we are going to make a general conclusion about the thing that we are discussing about. Meaning, this would have us a better overview of what we are trying to study. So proposition, we have this assertion of denials, assertion or denials. So it's about we are proving or we are denying about the knowledge that we are acquiring, if we are accepting or denying the ideas that we have. Next is inference and argument. Inference and argument talks about the supporting of details about our topic or idea or concept. So in reality, something must exist. Perception, we must use our senses. Concept, we should use our generalizations or general conclusions. Proposition is about assertion or denials. Inference or argument is about supporting or giving evidence or proof about our acquired knowledge. Next, the theories of truth. We have three theories of truth: the correspondence theory of truth, coherence theory of truth, and pragmatist theory of truth. So correspondence theory of truth is about the literal thing. For example, a cat is an animal. Therefore, it is a correspondence theory of truth because it is an animal. Next is coherence theory of truth. In coherence theory of truth, this is about the beliefs of a group of people or many people. For example, in ancient Egypt, they believed that cats are gods. Therefore, it is a coherence theory of truth because they have not proven that it is a god. So the difference of correspondence and coherence is about the beliefs, while correspondence is the literal thing of something. While pragmatist theory of truth, it is true when it is applied in real life situations. Then again, correspondence is about the literal thing, coherence is the beliefs, pragmatist is about when it is applied in real life. Methods of philosophizing. We have dialectic, pragmatic, phenomenological, analytical, primary, and secondary reflection. Dialectic method, ito po yung kanina natin, which is two people discussing from opposing sides. We also have pragmatic. This pragmatic is about the having the fascination about the concept of change, idea of change, to be clear. So phenomenological is about the experiences. Analytical is using analysis language, and we have primary and secondary reflection. So let's first start with the summary of these four things. Dialectic is about two people with opposing sides. Pragmatic is about the idea of change. Phenomenological is about the experiences. Analytical is analysis language. And primary and secondary reflection is what I'm going to be discussing. So primary and secondary reflection have only one difference, which is we must remember that primary reflection is the things that we have learned. Meanwhile, secondary reflection are the things that we have applied. Then again, primary is the things that we have learned, and secondary are the things that we have applied. Types of fallacies. Ito na. Argumentum ad hominem. Argumentum ad hominem means attacking the person or using below the belt questions. We have number two, argumentum ad baculum. It is the appeal or through the use of force. We are using threats as an advantage against others. So we have argumentum ad misericordiam. So we have argumentum ad misericordiam. It is about the appeal to pity. It is using emotions or feelings against people. We also have argumentum ad populum, which is using from the word populum, it means population. It is using the vanity or exploiting the vanity of these people. Argumentum ad tradition, from the word tradition, it is through using practices, traditions, or beliefs that have been going on for more than centuries. I'll summarize it later. Argumentum ad ignorantiam. Ignorantium means ignorance, meaning if someone doesn't disapproved about the idea, therefore they would consider it as a truth. Argumentum ad hominem means attacking the person. Argumentum ad baculum means appeal to force. Argumentum ad misericordiam means appeal to pity or through the use of emotions. Argumentum ad populum or population meaning exploiting vanity of these people. Argumentum ad tradition is through using the practices used for more than decades or years. Argumentum ad ignorantiam, as long as no one disapproves about the idea, it is therefore called out as a truth. We have petitio principii. It is known to be the begging of the question, wherein the conclusion is assumed to be true. It's assumed to be true. It has lack of conclusions or supporting evidence. Meanwhile, in hasty generalizations, it means generalizing from a specific idea, meaning it doesn't have a full concept or support to go to a general conclusion. We have cause and effect, or post hoc ergo propter hoc, meaning something caused something to happen because it happened at the same time. Meanwhile, sa fallacy of composition, it says that if one part is true, therefore the whole is also true, which is kabaliktaran naman ng fallacy of division, wherein if something is true as a whole, when you divide it, it is still truth as separate parts, which is magkaiba. Next is fallacy of equivation, meaning it is through the use of a word in a different situation with a different meaning. So, ulitin ko po. Petitio principii means about begging the question or using assumptions about a conclusion. Hasty generalizations is having less proof or insufficient proof about your general conclusion. Cause and effect is about something happened because of something, because it happened at the same time. Fallacy of composition is about if something's part is true, therefore the whole is also true. Meanwhile, fallacy of division is if something is true as a whole, when it is cut into parts, it is also true. Meanwhile, fallacy of equation, some a word is used in a different situation with a different meaning. Different senses of man, human being, person, personhood, and human nature. Man means the entire human race. Meaning, human, it is the distinguishing between human and an animal. Human being has the characteristics that animals don't have. Meanwhile, person is an individual that has self-awareness, self-determination, has the capacity to interact. Personhood is how the way of living or how people live out their life. Meanwhile, human nature is about how people act or live. Let me summarize it all. Man is the entire human race. Human is the difference between man and animals. Human being are the characteristics of human that aren't seen from these animals, or it is the traits. Person is an individual that has self-determination, self-awareness, and has the capacity to interact. Personhood is about the ethical lifestyle of a person, meaning ito po ang livelihood nila. Human nature is how they act through as a human being. Embodied spirit, two perspectives of origin, which is scientific and biblical. Sa scientific, ito po yung about sa Big Bang theories or something. Meanwhile, sa biblical, it is about how Jesus got or God made the earth in 7 days or 6 days. Two aspects of human person, which is the cognitive and physical self. Cognitive is how you think or your intellectual health. Meanwhile, physical is about your physical state or your physical traits, physical composition, kung ano na. Aristotle, he said that the soul is separable from the body. Meanwhile, Socrates said that the soul is inseparable from the body. Aristotle said that the soul is separable from the body or nahiwalay. Meanwhile, Socrates said that the body is inseparable from the spirit. The spirit ata yun. Human transcendence. This is how people reach their limit and surpass their limits. We have truths, four noble truths that can show the human transcendence more. Four noble truths: the truth of suffering, the truth of cause of suffering, the truth of end of suffering, the truth of the path that leads to the end of suffering. The truth of suffering means we people have something to suffer from. Meanwhile, the truth of suffering, there is a reason kung bakit tayo nagdudusa or we are suffering. Meanwhile, the truth of end of suffering, hindi lahat ng pagdudusa ay tumatagal. Meron at meron tayong katapusan. Meanwhile, the truth of the path that leads to the end of suffering means that there is a path na makakapag-stop or makakapag-end ng ating pagsuffer or pagdudusa. Truth of suffering is nagdudusa talaga ang tao. Cause of suffering, truth of suffering, nagdudusa talaga ang tao. Cause of suffering, it means that merong dahilan kung bakit tayo nagdudusa. End of suffering, may katapusan ang pagdudusa. At the path that leads to the end of suffering, may paraan upang matapos ang pagdudusa. Eightfold paths. We have right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right concentration, and right mindfulness. Right view is how you see these things. Right intention is about the attachments about these certain topics. Right speech is what are the words that you use that may affect these people. Right action is about having correct actions that cannot produce physical harm to these people. Meanwhile, right livelihood means about how you live yet you do not damage others through the process of your living. You know, right effort means how you have right mindfulness or how you show determination on your path. Meanwhile, right concentration is how you have single mindedness or you have concentration or focus on that specific path. Right mindfulness means how you are willing to go forward for this path. Wait, right view means that you are having a correct understanding of these things. Right intention means you have no sort of attachment to these things. You have no wrong intention. You have wala kang masamang balak in the first place. You have correct intention. You have correct cause or bakit mo gagawin ang isang bagay. Next is right speech. Yung words mo is may cause some mental or emotional damage to these people. Right action is you might give physical damage to these people through your physical state nga naman. Right livelihood is kung paano ka mamumuhay, kung maapektuhan mo ba ang ibang tao o hindi. Right effort naman dito is how you show self-determination, self-motivation sa mga bagay na ito. Kasi without right effort, you cannot give your best about something. Right concentration, you need single-mindedness or you need the focus of yourself in order to achieve something. Next is right mindfulness. You should be aware or conscious about the feelings, emotions, and everything that is happening around you. It might be from the people, the environment, the economy, the ecology, or the political whatsoever. But that we should always be conscious of our actions, our words, and everything that we have intended from the start. And dito na po magtatapos ang aking reflection or review po. Pasensya na po na late. Goodbye.